Hello and welcome to Big Bandit Gaming. I'm your host Troy. I'm just doing a quick solo cast. We're not doing a full-on game of the year this year just because we were not able to coordinate it, and I know some people may have not been able to fill out a whole list this year just because of busy schedules and whatnot. But boy, I have a packed schedule, and I think it would be a shame not to talk about some of these games. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Try to keep this pretty short. Before we jump into my top 10, I have one honorable mention, and that is Sword of the Sea. Sword of the Sea is pretty much, it's Journey. If you threw Tony Hawk mechanics into it, it's beautiful. The soundtrack is still done by Austin Wintory, who obviously is famous for the Journey soundtrack, and he has scored a lot of other games since then, but this is probably one of his best works. And honestly, it's just so fluid. It runs great on the PlayStation. It's fast, it's fluid, it looks cool, but you also get that like minute control that you need because there is a fair bit of platforming in here, and everything just feels snappy and good and right. And there's surprises in there. It's not all I don't want to ruin anything, but it kind of takes their last game, one of their games, Abzu, which has a very like underwater theme, and Journey, and kind of mashes that into one game. And they also had a game called The Pathless, which the movement feels a lot like that. So it kind of feels like this developer bringing all of his game experiences and mashing it together to make just like an awesome game. So that is my honorable mention. That is Sword of the Sea. So let's just start right in. And my number 10 is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. And this is a 2D platformer by the guys who made Blasphemous. So the thing about Blasphemous, it has some of the best, most detailed pixel art, and they really just nailed it out of the park with this one. The music is freaking awesome. You'll be hearing it in the background while I'm talking. So yeah, the Game Kitchen, they did an amazing job with this. Funnily enough, I really fell off Ninja Gaiden 4, like the actual big Ninja Gaiden this year, but Ninja Gaiden Ragebound I fell in love with. It controls super tight, all the platforming and parrying and dodging, it's just really pure and good and fast, and when you pull things off, it makes you feel so good. Tough bosses, actually, and I really enjoyed that. It not tough enough to where you're stuck on them for hours, but enough to where there's some bosses where you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep dying until I finally get a run where I like barely get hit, because I've learned all the patterns, and that's a sign of a good boss for me for this style of game. So that is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Number 9, Metroid Prime 4. So I know this is a divisive one, but Metroid Prime 4, while not like I can see the complaints about it being a little old school and the hub not being great, and I would not agree. But the rest of the game, like the rest of the discrete areas, are so good and fun, and it's really a big throwback game for me. And so I love Metroid Prime 4, and honestly, it's the first game on the Switch where I played, and it's hard to believe you're playing it on a Switch, because I played it on my OLED mostly, and it does 120 hertz locked at like 1080p, and it looks and feels amazing. Like it's just really weird still to play Nintendo games at really like high frame rates when you were going from like games that couldn't even hold 30 to a locked 120. HDR looks great, so it was just a real good showcase for the Switch 2. I really enjoyed it. I would say my favorite aspect of the game for sure is just the there is all that like character voice acting, all that stuff, and it really didn't get in the way of like the main thing you're doing in a Metroid Prime 4 game, is getting in a really cool thematic area and just picking it apart and scanning. Like, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's exactly what I wanted from a series that I've not played in a decade or so that's awesome. Number 8 is Bionic Bay, And this is not a very well-known game, but Bionic Bay is almost like, oh man, it's hard to explain. It's a little bit of Super Meat Boy, but with really goofy physics. And not only that, there's the physics angle of it, and then there's a lot of like powers, like gravity powers, where you can make things float. In the game, I don't want to spoil like things they do later on, but it goes really crazy with its like puzzle platformer mechanics. But my favorite thing about Bionic Bay is its physics are so goofy, and your dude just flips around and you can just send him flinging. And there's a fair number of puzzles where you get through like a room or like a sequence, and you're not sure whether you solved it the way the developers intended. All you know is you got through it. And I think that's always like a really fun thing in a game, where they give you enough leeway to just kind of cheese it if you get lucky. Or, you know, most of the time you do it the way the developers kind of like, they give you the tools to do it. And so there's a lot of really fun, creative ways to it. It's striking, like it's really contrasty. It not much of a story, but that's not kind of why you're there. If you're there for just like a really fun, good feeling puzzle platformer with like really unique mechanics, I would highly suggest Bionic Bay. Number 7, Mario Kart World. And it's funny, when I got my Switch 2 at launch, played a fair bit of Mario Kart World. I was not convinced I loved it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And a lot of that was just because there was so much going on with the new player count and the abilities. And I just felt like I could never consistently rank anywhere online. Like I would swing from like number 3 to 14 and the swings on the last lap were rough. Like you would be up there and then just one hit and you were 24, 23, 19. It is crazy how competitive it is. And since I've played more, I've come up with different strategies that I never would have used in Mario Kart 8. I'll just give you like an example. Like if I got like a triple mushroom, right? In 8, I would just jam those out. But in this game, I kind of plan on getting hit at a certain point, just because there's so much going on and so many powers, that I kind of just like bank those. And so it's just like good item utilization in a way that I never had to think about in 8. And I can rank, now that I'm like getting maps, getting strategies, getting items down, I can rank a little more consistently, which is great. But really the thing I really like is the new mode, the Battle Royale mode, where you're starting with, oh gosh, how many players is it? I think it's more than 24. I forget how many players. It's a lot of players. But after it chooses it's 4 tracks that you go all the way through in one large race. And there's certain checkpoints that you kind of have to hit to stay in the race, and you get booted out. So it's kind of like a really long game of like Fall Guys in that way. And it's really competitive. It's really sweaty. And I really, really like that mode. So that was a lot of fun. So Mario Kart World, maybe not. This will not be a game I played as much as 8 back in the day, like on the Wii U. But it is a game that I will consistently just pop on, and it's something they seem to be updating pretty regularly, like items and balancing and stuff. So I have a feeling that Mario Kart World will get a lot of support over the next year. So I'm all for it. It's really good. Number 6, Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4. And Deltarune's funny, I liked Chapter 1 and 2 of Deltarune, but I didn't really fall in love with it, because Undertale is such a seminal game that it's kind of hard to separate what it is versus like what it was when I first played it. Because when I first played Undertale, it was just rumblings of you should play this game, you know. There wasn't even like a lot of reviews for it. It was just a few people I follow saying like, you really need to play this game, like whatever you need to do to get a PC and play it, do it. And so it was a really special game. Obviously it's one of the biggest games in the world, weirdly enough. And so 1 and 2 had a lot riding on it, and I really did enjoy Deltarune 1 and 2. I think it's just straight up a much better game than Undertale, just mechanically and pacing wise and all that, but the magic wasn't like quite there for me. And one thing that's still there is the soundtrack. Like, if Toby Fox could have just been a composer, like a game composer, in the same way like Lena Raine is or something if he wanted to, but instead he just decided to be everything. And so going into Deltarune 3 and 4, this is something that launched at the same time as the Switch 2, so it was just like a really good it's just a really good excuse to jump back in. And I think I started from chapter, gosh, I'm trying to remember if I went all the way from 1 to I think I started on chapter 2. Yes, that's what I did, because that's where I left off on the Switch version. So I went all the way from chapter 2, 3, and 4, and let me tell you, 3 and 4 is just some of the most creative mechanics and gameplay and subversion of what you think you're getting into at every turn, that it's kind of mind-boggling. Because I got through chapter 3 and was like, that was insane. Like, that was a really good, like, standout, awesome. And then 4 ramps it up with a villain that is an all-timer, like in a art style that totally breaks like the art style of Deltarune and Undertale in like a really crazy way, in a really standout way. And so Deltarune 3 and 4, like, just so many amazing, crazy moments in that game, and character work and music. It's a wonderful game. Deltarune is a wonderful game, and if you ever played Undertale, didn't get it, or just got bored, I would suggest getting into Deltarune, even though chapter 1 can be a little bit of that same, it has some pacing problems, but it's so worth it to get into 3 and 4. All right, number 5, Donkey Kong Bonanza. So, you know, it's funny, Donkey Kong Bonanza was something I was excited for, and I really didn't know what the game was till they had that big direct, which wasn't too long before launch. And it really, like, it was the first time I was really excited for this game, because it was one of those crazy directs where it was just 30-40 minutes of like, you can do this, like there's this store that you can, it was just like a mechanically like really dense direct, and it's not something I expected from this game. Like, you know, I didn't expect stores and power-ups and like almost like a Gravity Rush 2 style way to like travel between worlds, fast travel, and like that Metroid Prime map. And there's just so much to that game. Obviously the transformations too, where like you can do mechanical things like fly in the game, like just crazy stuff. The throwback levels where it goes into 2D, like again, I got really excited after that direct, got the game, and you know what, it for someone who really doesn't like collectathon games, like the N64 era of like platformers, this game surprised me in that, you know, I was a little worried that it would turn into that, but it really isn't. Like, all the collectibles are just excuses to explore the play space and mechanics they already gave you, instead of, hey, here's a puzzle to get, like, you know, it's not like, oh, you need to get every banana in this area to move on and get the next story thing, which you do in the game, but there's so, you know, in the same way Odyssey was, like, it really doesn't force you to get every single thing, and I'm never just sitting there being like, I need 2 more of this and I cannot find it. So I had to find a guide and waste my time. Like, it really pushed you forward. And as far as like platforming, they do have these kind of like special zones where they really play around with like platforming and the mechanics in a really fun way. And there's a little part of me, I had the same feeling with Odyssey too, where I'm like, I wish the game was a little more of this. Like, I really just love, like, just give me some hardcore like 3D Mario type platforming. But you know, that's not what those games are, either of those games, Donkey Kong and Odyssey. And so I appreciate where they sit. And obviously it's my number 5 this year. Like, I really enjoyed the game, and just starting to do crazy like combinations. Like, you know, I would slide off, I'd grab a chunk of the mountain, ride it like a skateboard, jump off, you know, throw it forward, jump on. Like, you know, there's all kinds of crazy like technical moves you can do in this game that once you do it, you can start skipping like, you know, areas or do things in orders that you weren't supposed to. And that's really fun. All right, down to number 4. Number 4 is Ghost of Yotei. And this might tell you a little bit about the rest of my list, but if it wasn't for, and I said this in the last podcast, if it wasn't for the Switch 2, Ghost of Yotei might have been the only AAA game on my list this year. Even not just my top 10, like my overall list that I was kind of going over, because I had about 20 something games on my list to kind of chisel down at. And so Ghost of Yotei, in a year where I bought a new PlayStation Pro, it was probably the only game I played where I was like, this is a substantial upgrade. You know, it had its own ray trace 60 FPS mode, later unlocked it for, you know, VRR screen. So it just played really well with my PS5 Pro and my C2 OLED. And even besides that, I think Ghost of Yotei takes everything about the original and just really streamlines it in a really satisfying way. And obviously, I think the story was a little weak in that first game, the characterization story, and this really fixes it. Like, your main character, her story is really tragic, and it really thrusts the narrative forward, the kind of revenge story. But I do like that she's not just a bummer all the time about it. Yeah, like, it's not like a Last of Us 2 situation in that plot line. And I think like there's a lot of heart in the side characters and in the world. It's like I said, like with the PS5 Pro, and even not, it's just like a beautiful game. It plays amazing. That new mechanic where you can just pick up any weapons that characters drop and just like throw them, like that never stopped feeling good. Like just chucking those things at people were amazing. The wolf, you know, there's new stuff, like you get a pet wolf that you can call in certain situations, and it's interesting that didn't like change the game as much as I thought. It does have its own kind of like skill tree, but it isn't like a huge part of the game like the marketing may have made it look. But I mean, the combat's even tighter this time around. I mean, there's this sword, there's this one side mission, or it's like a set of side missions, side story that you're fighting this sword master, and you're fighting different like apprentices, and you finally get to him. And I got to him, I think, a lot earlier than I was supposed to, and it turned into like a literal like Sekiro Soul style battle, because it was he gets 2 hits on me and I'm done. And just having to use like every bit of my tools and my parry. I had a costume that made it so I couldn't block, but if I did a perfect parry, it did like an incredible amount of damage. So I kind of made like a glass cannon build with this character, and it was like a really epic duel, and I got these swords really early in the game, and it was awesome. So I really enjoyed Ghost of Yotei. I really like how the story wraps up and where it left everything. So, you know, if there's DLC, I may not go back. I think I got what I wanted out of the game, but the multiplayer stuff that they did for the first one, the kind of like Destiny like story, and the like Gears of War like horde mode thing they're doing, I will absolutely come back for that. That was my honestly, that ended up being my favorite part of the first game was the multiplayer stuff. So I'm really excited for that to come out when I think it's supposed to come out this year, hopefully. So, all right, down to top three. Top three. Here we go. Number 3, Hades 2. Now, Hades 2 is so addictive. I liked I consider myself a super giant like fan. Like, I think they are on my short list of studios that have like just every game they've made is the best game they could have made for what they were trying to do. And that team has just been so consistent and just crazy talented. And so when they first announced they were making a direct sequel, I was a little bummed, because as much as I liked Hades 1, I feel like I hit a lot of roadblocks in like in storylines and stuff. I just felt like it was asking me to grind too much and to do too many runs. You know, I'd beat Hades pretty fast. I think I did it in like 14 runs, you know, and I would have had to do a ton more runs to get to the end of that game and unlock all the, you know, have enough ambrosia to like unlock character dialogue. And so at a certain point I felt like, you know, after maybe 3 more runs, I was like, I got what I wanted out of this game. Like, it's really good, but it ain't no pyre. And so Hades 2, I was like a little cool on, but once I got it like everything as far as pacing and just like game feel and everything, they nailed it. It feels so good. It feels so responsive. There's a lot of cool like additions and surprises, like pets and the hub area, the way you can upgrade your hub area and the way that like helps your runs is really smart. And there's some like really game-changing things I've unlocked. There's a mechanic now where I think there's a goddess that gives you like an R2 ability, which is almost like a super or like a special. And it's something I ignored a little for about half the game, but once I started building into it, it honestly changed the game and how I built my character out. And just like a really good loops everywhere. And there's this really cool, you know, not to avoid spoilers, I will say when you think you've got beaten the game, or, you know, when you feel like you're getting close to beating the game, they kind of throw it at you where you're like, hey, there's a whole nother dungeon. Like, you're not done, which is really cool and crazy. And that second area is just as cool as the first. All the dialogue obviously is as well written as that studio's ever done. I would say overall story, I was a little disappointed by the end of it, but honestly, it is a game I could not put down. Again, just another like really good timing with the Switch 2. Another time I'm playing like 120 hertz on a Nintendo console on my TV on my couch. It really cool. Oh, sorry. My looks like my audio went out there for a second. That was weird. But yeah, Hades 2, number 3. All right, number 2 is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The not my game of the year, but the game of the year is my number 2. And you know, this is a game that when I first saw it, I looked and I was like, what is this? Like, this looks insane. Like, it looks like a game made for me. It looks like a Final Fantasy game with like a really intriguing premise, and stylistically it's doing some like Persona stuff. It's at this point I didn't know about the parry system and all that good stuff, but there was something really intriguing about that initial reveal of that game. I think it was like in an Xbox conference. And the more and more we got closer, the more excited I got for that game. And there was a part of me that was just hoping, like, reviews wouldn't come out. I was afraid like reviews were going to come out and they'd be like, this is like a 78, 76. Like, it's cool looking, but it's not great. And, you know, obviously, like, when before reviews coming out, you know, people I follow on Blue Sky or whatever said, hey, like, this game is special. Like, I can't say much more than that because I'm embargoed, but like, this is a game to watch. And it came out, obviously now it's history. The reviews, the just groundswell of players, and just the game itself, man. Like, the premise is so strong. The intro is intriguing. The pacing, again, just like JRPGs sometimes can have really slow, bad starts, and like that is something that happens. But the way they introduce like mechanics and gameplay, and they just kind of thrust you right into it when you hit that first island. Just what a special game. And a little bit like Metroid Prime 4, there's parts of it that's really like a throwback. And I know we just talked about this game on the last podcast, but you know, the parts of it that it's funny, like when they won the Game Awards, he mentioned, you know, Sakaguchi at the end. Like, there is so much Final Fantasy X happening in the combat, and kind of the way it's not just 10, but like you can tell these guys wear their heroes on their shoulder, you know, like, you know where they're coming from here, and they're a small team, obviously, and they made something so polished and good and just cohesive. And it's, you know, there are like, I can nitpick things, like, you know, like I think some of the facial animation is a little stiff, things like that, but like, considering the team size and what they made, and the soundtrack, the system to just like deck out like all your characters to handle whatever situation you're in, like a boss to do counters, like literal countering, and just like mechanical counters, like min-maxing your builds and stuff. It's just all so slick, and you know, it really hits that kind of like uncanny fantasy thing that I really love in stories. It's kind of like it's dark, but it's beautiful, and like the characters, you know, they're just trying to like survive and live in this like really bad situation. And I really love the like previous expeditions, those logs. Like, it's a game where I like read logs, and that's how you know like a game's really got you. It's when you're willing to sit down and read in a video game. But you know, it's just all my favorite games in one game in a crazy way. It's Final Fantasy, it's Sekiro, it's Super Mario RPG, it's Nier. It's just an incredible first effort from this team. They deserve everything, every accolade they're getting, and boy, this is going to be a hard one to follow up. But hey, amazing. But hey, we're down to our number one. Let's do it. My number one game of the year this year. If you can guess it, it's maybe, if you know my taste or anything, you might be able to guess it now that Clair Obscura is number two. But that is Hollow Knight Silksong. And, you know, Hollow Knight is a game, the original, that I played 2 or 3 hours of it when it came to the Switch, and I set it down and I was like, I don't get it. Like, it's fine, but I don't know where I'm going. I feel like I'm underpowered. There's no progression here. I just, like, I don't want to waste my time just wandering around and not knowing where to go. And so I set it down. And then after that, like, you know, quite a few of my friends either beat it or were playing it and came around being like, it's probably one of the best games I've ever played, you know? And I was like, okay. And these are not like guys are like, you know, I played Dark Souls games and Metroid, you know, every Metroidvania under the sun. So I was like, okay, there's something here. So I played, you know, I re-downloaded it, gave it another try, hit like a wall in the 3-hour mark where I just kind of barreled through it, and it became probably one of my favorite games I've ever played. And just really one of those weird instances where it just didn't click right away, but once it did, man, that is an amazing game. Like, it's one thing to make a Souls-like, it's another thing to, it's really hard to like get that atmosphere a Souls game has. Like, there's just something unspoken and creepy and compelling, and Hollow Knight had that. And so Hollow Knight Silksong comes out, you know, years later, after endless speculation, if it's finally here. And you know what? I think it's a better game than even the original Hollow Knight. You know, Hornet is a character where, so in the original Hollow Knight, a lot of what you do mechanically is you pogo. You know, a mechanic where you can stay in the air and keep hitting a guy. You know, DuckTales, pogo, yes. And in this game, the thing that I didn't realize, because I tried to stay away from anything, is Hornet's original layout, and I didn't even know there was different like builds or different I forget what they're calling, crests that could change this, but Hornet's down attack is a horizontal strike down, and it kind of gives her a little air when she hits something. And you know what? I found that to be so cool and stylish, and it really changed the way I had to play Hollow Knight Silksong compared to Hollow Knight. Just how I spaced enemies, how I kind of use like vertical space to kind of get around different bosses and their attack patterns. And so I actually kept, even when I found out you could get different crests, and one of them is just literally like the Wanderer's Crest from Hollow Knight, I really stuck to my guns and played all the way through chapter 2 with that crest, and you know, where most people had switched at that point. And I'm really glad I did, because it took a lot of skill and a lot of just getting to know like what distance you could do that down strike in, when it would hit, when not to do it, when to do it. It is just really, really satisfying to pull off. But everything about like all the additions in this game, like the side missions, the upgrade paths, the way they're doing maps, and you know, I never really hit a point in this game where I got so lost that I'm like, I don't know where to go next. Like, I was always able to find the main objective, but there are areas in this game where I'm like, there's no way, unless I looked up a video, I would have ever found this area and stuff. So there's still like a lot there for people that like to explore. All the bosses, the music, the sound effects. I actually think it was a crime that Hollow Knight Silksong didn't get nominated for like best sound design, because everything you do in that game, every boss, every character movement, every ping, every like hollow like item has just the most satisfying sound. In a way where I think of like Mario games, like, and I think Astrobot does this well too, where like everything you do, like Mario's foot on like glass has this like really satisfying slippery a tinkery sound. And Hollow Knight does a ton of that. Just some of the best like sound design in a game I've ever played. And not to mention like the soundtrack, like some of the boss themes are just so good. Not to mention the main theme for like the big climactic area in the game. There's a secret third ending that is kind of annoying. Actually, you know, my one gripe is it's kind of annoying to get to that third ending. You have to do a lot, and it's not super straightforward, especially early on when it wasn't documented super well. But once I got past that, that third act where it's just like a mad boss rush of like new areas and bosses, and it's so good. I would say as far as difficulty, this is a much harder game than the original Hollow Knight was. And I appreciate that, because I actually thought Hollow Knight was a little easy, the first one, especially like the main path. I know there's like parts of Hollow Knight that maybe I didn't touch that are made for like a challenge, like platforming area, things like that. But as far as like the core like loop of the game, what they're expecting of you, Hollow Knight Silksong expects a lot from you. Like, it is a Souls, From Software level challenge. And funnily enough, the hardest part of the game for me was actually they had this in Hollow Knight too, but you hit areas where they just spawn waves of enemies. And there's this one in the second chapter that you have to get to get to either the normal ending or unlock the third ending, that I probably spent like 2.5 to 3 hours on. And it was just bewildering to me how much they threw at you in such a small space. And finally, I realized now that if I had done like a certain side mission, there was a character that could have helped me, almost like a summon in like a NPC summon in Dark Souls. And so that makes a little more sense, but you wouldn't know that. So I banged my head against that, and that was the hardest part of the game. I think the last boss, like the true final last boss, took me like an hour. But cool thing, I actually beat chapter 2. I took a 3-month break, came back, and from there I just decided, you know what, I really stuck my guns on the Hunter's Crest, the downward diagonal, kind of the slower needle, and I'm just gonna do Hunter's Crest for the last like third of this game. And I don't know how I would have beaten that third act without switching crests, because that is there are some really tough enemies and bosses that having that pogo and having swift attacks are like almost necessary. And I think the thing I did underutilize is the tools. And in this game, like you have a lot of tools that take silk to use, or sorry, they don't take silk. You have specials that use silk, which is also what you use to heal up. And then you have tools, which another currency that you have to keep to actually use tools. And tools are something I underutilized. I ended up using like the traps a ton, and kind of the bugs that kind of hone in on them, and that really did help me get through some of those harder bosses in third act when I started needing to rely on those a little bit more. But yeah, changing my play style, going back into the flow of like, kind of a little more what Hollow Knight felt like, really helped. But yeah, there's a few really tough bosses in that third act that really put my skills to the test, which I really enjoyed. But man, Hollow Knight Silksong is so good. It's so epic. It's not a game that like couldn't live up to the hype. It did. I think it's an interesting game from the outside, because it's a game that got hyped so much that people that never even tried Hollow Knight or wouldn't even play a game like Dark Souls or Neo or something, or even like Celeste or Cuphead, like a harder platformer, jumped in on. And I don't think they know what they jumped in on, so I know it can be a divisive game. Especially compared to like Clair Obscur. I think it could stand with Hades 2 and still win in a year that Clair Obscur didn't exist in it. But just an amazing game, top to bottom. There were some bosses where Sam was watching me play, and together, like I'm on my like 18th try, and I'm yelling the attacks out. I'm getting greedy, so I'm saying, okay, like one hit, get out, duck, jump, like run, pogo, and she's there like yelling it out with me and stuff. So it was just fun to get so invested. Like, the bosses are hard enough to where you just really need to learn patterns and just react fast and see things. And especially that last boss, man, I feel like I still got through that boss at the skin of my teeth. But yeah, that's my list. Just to go over one more time. Number 10, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Number 10, Metroid Prime 4. Number 9, Bionic Bay. Number 8, Mario Kart World. Number 7, Deltarune. Number 6, Donkey Kong Bonanza. Number 5, Ghosts of Yote. Number 4, Hades 2. Number 3, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is my number 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong is my game of the year in 2025. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.